Sisko doesn't believe Garrick is a simple tailor. Quark paints Natima's face with honey. And Garrick thinks some people should never be promoted. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, everybody.
This is the Seventh Rule. Today we are reviewing episode 2.18. That is season 2, episode 18 of DS9, called Profit and Loss. It is directed by Robert Weimer, written by Flip Kobler and Cindy Marcus. Any idea who those guys are? Cirroc?
No, but they've got some great names.
How you doing, by the way?
Doing good. I'm doing all right.
Great.
Just to say, we got Garrick. We finally got a little bit of Garrick back.
Man alive. We got Garrick. We got Quark. We got some really meaty, juicy chunks to chew on. But before that, I did want to do a quick shout out. We want to give a shout out to our associate producer, Mr. Rex A. Wood, who is a superstar for us. He's always going around and spreading the good word for us at conventions and such. And he had some flyers made, sent us over.
Oh, wow.
A bunch of these from our brand new designs that look gorgeous.
Awesome.
Well, this part looks gorgeous. Look at that.
Admiral Rex. Thanks, Rex.
So thank you to Rex Wood out in Kentucky, but he's always calling in from everywhere. I think today he's going to call in on the free-for-all from some other place like Minnesota.
Wasn't he in Omaha or something recently?
Yeah, he's everywhere, man. He is. He's just the traveling AP is what he is. Rex the traveling AP. So
Admiral Rex Wood.
He's always got a lot of cool cosplay for us, too.
He does.
So let's dive into this episode. What do you say?
Okay.
I mean, we might as well, right?
That's what we're here for. Let's do it.
Cool. So
Natima and the Cardassians.
First things first, actually, before we dive too much into it, I did have a question for you while I was watching this episode.
Yeah.
I kind of remember thinking like, man, it would be so freaking cool to just wander around on Deep Space Nine, on the promenade at Quark's bar. And I realized you did that for 7 years. What
I did.
What was it like? Was it just kind of like 360 degrees of a studio, a stage that's completely filled out as the promenade in Deep Space Nine, or was it only like one half with all the cameras on the other half, or what was it like?
Yeah, so it was actually like a 180 degrees. So it was basically half of a circle, and it was lifelike. So it was upstairs, downstairs. It was a legitimate functioning upstairs, downstairs, 2-story kind of semicircle, and there were all kinds of little nooks and crannies inside of the shops, for example, that would be converted to other shops and different things that they needed. The temple, if they needed to be a temple or a shop. So I used to go in and out of these little crevices.
Sure.
And I had a lot of fun on the actual soundstage. Sometimes, I don't know, for whatever reason, you don't want to go back to your trailer, and you don't want to go back and kind of isolate yourself there. You feel the energy of the production going on. So I would find myself hanging out a lot on those sets in between takes, and even when I'm not filming. So playing cards in the backgrounds with some of the people who are off camera, play a game of gin, or who knows, spades. And we'd have little games going on with the background and the other actors. I was doing most of the card games and stuff with background actors. But I also took naps on the set too. Like I would go, instead of going back to the trailer, I'd find a little cubby hole and just lay out and go to sleep, and it'd be perfect because it was just like a nice little, cat nap at work, 30 minutes, 1 hour.
A nice little nook for your cranny.
Nice little cranny for my nook. And so, yeah, no, that's what it was like. It was really fun.
Hey, no, I kind of was thinking about that because, I had the chance to be on a few sets like that. The biggest one was on the set of the first G.I. Joe movie, like 10 years ago or something. And it was 360 degree. The entire stage was was a tri-level, 50-foot high GI Joe base. And so, it had like the elevators, it had like, all the nooks and crannies, it had rooms, it had locker rooms and all this stuff. And the fun part was looking through all the attention to detail. Like you go into a locker room, even though the camera might be 300 feet away or something, and you're here in this like locker room and you're looking and they have like little vending machines with sodas and all these like fake ones, with fake names. And you're like, wow, the attention to detail that they have to put in just in case the director says, let's shoot something up there, it needs to be ready. And it just made me think like it must have been incredible to see that on Deep Space Nine, because you're seeing like, little bits of Quark's bar or, the Prophet's temples or whatever like that. I mean, was the
Yeah,
attention, did it have that attention to detail where like everywhere you look, it kind of had cool Star Trek stuff to look at?
absolutely. The panels, for example, that they used when they were in ops, and that they would play on and press buttons and activate different things. A lot of that had hidden messages inside of it. It had names of the set designers and different crew members. It had joke names in it, and so part of the thing to do while you're in between shots, wasting time, is to kind of like look through the paneling to find what kind of interesting names or what kind of thing you can find was inserted.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's a detail that is inserted in there, but is seldom going to get its moment to shine. Right? People are very rarely going to get a close up on the
Right.
soda machine in the background, but the detail is still there. And I also saw that with the props, for example. A lot of the props were like super cool. Uh, com badges, the tablets that we used. Everything had some kind of like really in-depth hidden jewel in there. A lot of our set designers like to play around, but it's a shout out, and it's really a testament to the level of skill and talent that the guys who build these sets and who make these props, how talented they are, how
Right.
accurate they are.
And and the respect for the work too, like that they're just not half-assing it, that they're going out, they're making something as immaculate as possible just in case it ever needs to be used. And even if it doesn't, just for the respect of the work, just because they don't want to put out a subpar product. And you got to see that every day.
Absolutely, and that those are the other guys that kind of don't get as much attention. They're
Mm.
the unsung heroes of our show, but they're the guys who are in the crew making things happen. And I spent time getting to know some of these people in the special effects, visual effects, some of the prop makers, some of the
Playing spades.
yeah, playing spades, but also talking with them. I had some of the makeup guys in the makeup department make a mask for me for Halloween when it was Halloween time.
What was it?
Uh, it was a melted kind of a Freddy Krueger looking face that they made a mold of my face and then made this custom mask. So I won the contest, the costume contest that year because I had a little bit of help.
Was it
But
like a Star Trek costume contest amongst them, or do you just mean like outside?
no, this wasn't Star Trek. This was like just make me something cool. I got this event to go to, and
Okay, at an event.
it's
Yeah.
a Halloween thing, and so they got me in the trailer. They had me do the cast for the mold, and it was funny because it's basically my own like I think I still have it somewhere. One day I'll show you the face. It's just this prosthetic Odo like face that sticks on right on top of my stuff. But they
Kind
gave
of
me a little.
like Michael Myers in Halloween or something like that.
Yeah, but mine is it's kind of a melty face. It looks like I was in a fire and my face is melting. They did a really good
Like
job of it.
like Odo in that episode
Yeah,
like a
go
month
to
ago with the hot dog fingers and the melty face.
exactly.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
I have one of those, my own Odo / Freddy Krueger looking version of it. And And then also as far as the prop makers, one time they made this staff for me. I don't know why I asked for this staff. I think it was something that had to do with Moses and the Ten Commandments. And so I wanted this kind of like Moses-like staff. And I went over to the guys over at they had this big wood shop kind of lumber yard, right?
Nice.
And that's where they would work out of. And I'd go back there every once in a while. And one day I was like, "Hey, can you guys make me a staff like 9 foot tall, a 9 foot staff, 8 foot staff?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll make it for you. You want us to make it so that it's in two pieces, so that you can take it apart?"
Wow.
So they did, and
you're like, "Of course,
of course." So I mean, and they aged it and weathered it and made it look all like it was this ancient kind of Lord of the Rings staff, right?
I was gonna say, so you were Gandalf before the new Lord of the Rings came out.
Yeah, I had the Gandalf staff before the movie, yeah. And we used to walk around I mean, it was so damn heavy, I stopped using it. It was just too real looking.
Yeah, real wood.
Yeah, I should have said hollow, but this thing,
or just not something. Maybe it was like oak or something heavy.
Yeah, it was super heavy. It was about 8 feet tall. Really aged, really nice. That I don't think I still have. I'm not sure if I still have that. But yeah, no, the guys are really good at making these sets. What brought you to that? What brought us here?
It was just it was honestly has nothing really to do with the episode. That's just kind of something I was thinking about when I was watching the episode, just kind of looking at the detail of the station and thinking, you know what, it would be so cool to be able to walk around in there. And I realized, that you did. So, I wanted to kind of hear about that perspective. Yeah. I mean, I got to be on a couple Star Trek sets, but those were the JJ movies. And so, I got to be on the bridge of the Enterprise and the corridor, but I never got to be on like a big station set that's Star Trek. I mean, like, it just seems like it must have been really cool. You may not have, it's one of those things where you might not really fully appreciate it when you're there, but then when you look back at it, you're like, damn, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And it's funny because now that you're saying these things, it makes me think of the areas that I would not hide, but kind of nestle in. Mm-hmm. And you kind of are hiding because you don't want to be in an area where the camera is going to be catching you. So you are technically hiding from the camera.
Sure.
And so there were these little cubby holes here and there where you could find yourself kind of disappear from the set, but yet you're right there in the middle of the set.
And you're hearing them, all the chatter.
And you can hear the chatter. So cool. And one of those was at the top of the steps inside a quartz bar. Right at that top of the steps, that spiral staircase. If you kind of hang out at the top of that spiral staircase, people will be like asking where you are. And you could hear them running around back and forth.
Okay, that brings me to one more question. Then I swear that we'll cover this episode. But was there ever a time where you were just kind of off doing, like napping or relaxing or doing whatever, maybe not necessarily watching, where you heard something going on set, which was like either people squabbling or a loud noise or somebody playing a prank or something, where you just kind of like had to stand and be like, what the hell's going on? Or like where you had to kind of stop what you're doing and go check out what was actually happening on set?
I can't think of that off the top of my head of something like that, but I can remember finding cubby holes to sleep in and getting woken up by commotion, like, hey guys, why don't you keep it down? I'm trying to take a nap over here.
Yeah.
So that's happened before. And then they look at me like, why don't you go back to your trailer?
Yeah, don't you have a trailer?
Don't you have a trailer? Yeah. So yeah, those were the kind of the fun moments. Finding those little spots on the set where you're in the mix, but you're far enough removed where people don't know where you are.
Cool. All right, let's get to this episode, because I could ask questions about this all day, but we gotta at least cover this for a minute, right? Might as well.
Well, yeah.
Plus, it was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
Profit and Loss, episode 18, season 2. opens up with Sisko, Dax, and Kira see a busted Cardassian ship. They ask O'Brien to tractor it in. O'Brien had a pretty sweet gig that week, right? He had like 2 lines, maybe.
Yeah, he had the nice one, the in and out role. Didn't have to do too much, but Garrick really shined in this episode. I thought it was not only a Quark episode, but it was also a Garrick episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and speaking of which, we had a couple NAMs, a couple non-appearance mentions in this one. We had, I don't know if you caught them, but we had Rom got a non-appearance mention when, what does Quark say about him? He's just so in love with this girl, and he's like, I'll just give my bar to my brother. Within a month, he'll run into the ground, but that's okay. So that's Quark acting very un-Ferengi-like in this episode. And then the other one was a new NAM, not really part of our count, but it was Cirroc. When
I heard that.
Cirroc, who was Spock's dad, they made a quote and he said, who said that? Was it, someone like Cirroc of Vulcan? And he said, no, it was me, or whatever.
Bashir of Earth.
Yeah.
Right? It's something like that.
Yeah. So that was, that was cute. I was like, all right, I'll write that down. That's maybe Saric's only NAM of the entire series, but still, we'll give it to him.
So Cirroc is Spock's dad?
Right.
And where did we see him?
He's been in various series, original series and Next Generation. Is he in any of the movies? I don't recall. But especially there was one really good episode that really stands out to me. He had like a really good friendship with Captain Picard. And there's this episode, and every Star Trek fan knows what it's called, but I don't remember it. Sorry, guys. It's when Cirroc and Amanda, Spock's mother, come to visit the Enterprise, and Cirroc is starting to have this syndrome where he starts to lose control of his emotions. He starts to lose his composure, and he really stresses out, and he starts to get emotional, and then he goes to watch the band perform, a symphony perform with Data and others. And he starts to get emotional. He starts to get like a tear, and Picard notices that and says, well, that's weird for a Vulcan to get a tear. But then in order for Cirroc has to keep his composure to conduct this one final peace treaty meeting, between these two warring races or whatever it was. I haven't seen it in a long time. And so Picard lets Cirroc mind meld with him to kind of put all of his emotions into Picard and keep Picard's stoicism to get him through that final peace meeting. And of course, Picard's like tortured in the room with Deanna Troi helping him through it the whole time. It was a really cool episode, really powerful. But anyway, so that's Sarek, and he gets his one NAM of that.
And we also see him in Discovery, right? Is that
No, that's yes, yeah. We see Spock and Sarek. So there have been like 3 actors that have played Sarek. You're right, yeah.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But he did get a shot. So I guess his wisdom has made it through the Gamma Quadrant. The wisdom of Cirroc.
It travels all the universe. You know him well. But anyway, so then Professor Natima Lang has these 2 Cardassian students who are really.
I like that outfit she came in. It was very beautiful. The white dress, off-white dress that she was wearing when she first showed up. I really liked it. Shout out to Bob Blackman and his team.
That's the wardrobe team?
Wardrobe, yeah. Robert Blackman was the main guy in charge, and he had a whole team of people that were excellent.
You knew the wardrobe department well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I was always there going for a fitting, getting measured up for a new fitting, because once you start growing, they got to make the adjustments. So,
well, those of you at home that don't know, Cirroc is like 7'2", so it's not like just once you start growing. It's specifically you, Cirroc. You grew an inch per episode.
I did. At some points, they were like, "We can't use that again." So I was always going in for wardrobe fitting, which is why I got to know Bob Blackman really well. He was a fantastic guy and extremely talented at what he does. He's doing all the costume designs, most of them. I'm sure his team, but let's give him the credit. Quark's outfit looked really good in this episode.
So cool. Yeah.
He looked sharp in this episode. His interest, Natima, looked really gorgeous in that outfit. And we actually got to see a kind of a low neckline on a Cardassian. So you get to see more of the Cardassian, exposed chest-wise. But
yeah, all the designs that they've got kind of going throughout their body. Yeah.
Right. Get to see more of their skin and how it looks, other than outside of their just face and neck, but more chest.
Yeah, Cirroc wants to see some more Cardassian skin. What's the big deal?
Well, you know what? It was funny because after a while, you start to look past the makeup. It's really interesting when you watch these shows. And I watch her, for example, and at first you're like, oh, I would never be attracted to somebody that looked like that. But then after a while, you're like, wow, she's beautiful. And you're looking at her like you would look at anybody, right?
Sure.
So
right.
The eyes start to really carry out through when you start to look at her eyes and you start to look at their personality and the things that are, what makes the person. So
right.
Those things, it's funny how much the alien stuff disappears after watching.
That's a compliment to the actor that they're able to shine through that. Because sometimes it's easy to get lost behind all that makeup, and then the great actors like this lady whose name I don't know, like Andy Robinson and Mark Alimo and Armin Shimmerman and Renee, and Max Grodenchik, they're able to like fully give a performance even with, so much makeup on them, like prosthetics and everything.
Yeah, and you forget that you just deal with the essence of who the person is. That really starts to shine more so than the makeup and the prosthetics and the wardrobe. So I thought that Bob Blackman in this episode really shined brightly. I enjoyed the Quark's costume. I liked Garrick's outfit. It's a simple tailor.
Always. I love that one. Yeah.
It was elaborate. If you really pay attention to the details and the necklines and the different fabrics that they use. Mm-hmm. And also they, in his shop, in Garrick's shop, were displayed a bunch of outfits as well. So those have to be designed. So a lot of extra work for the costume designers in this particular episode. And I thought they really did a good job.
We've got just about a minute left before we take our quick break. But I want to say really quickly the trivioids that did not make the cutting room floor. One was Natima doesn't drink Sumerian sunsets anymore. She doesn't, just in that one point. But she did kind of fall in love with it when she saw it again.
I fell in love with it when I saw it popping in the drink. I wanted to order one.
Right. And Quark loves getting slapped because when she slapped him, he was like, "Oh,
it's the greatest day of my life."
Yeah, exactly. That's what he said. Yeah, happiest day. And Quark offers a free drink or a free gift, that's a thumbs down one. I think that was a weak one.
Oh yeah, I thought that you were going to mention the Immortium butterfly. I thought that would be on the list too.
Yeah, that was part of the one that I did use. Quark paints Natima's face with honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and then the butterfly lands on her. I was just kind of like, that's such a strange thing to do. Quark paints her face
with honey. Yeah, I thought there were a few strange things like that.
I was like, I don't know if we should touch that one. I don't know. Quark lathers her up in honey or spreads honey. Anyway. We're going to take a break. We're going to come right back with the seventh rule before we say anything stupid.
All right. It's a good idea.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the seventh rule. Cirroc and I are having a little giggle.
Oh, yeah.
Did you want to go ahead and...
No, it's just there were a lot of lines. The honey line, the honey scene, but also the scene where he gave the sunrise drink out, the Sumerian sunrise, and she left, and he called after her. But she didn't even touch it, and and I was just like, I shook my head like, oh God, only Bashir would be proud at this moment.
It's kind of like one of those lines where the line wasn't bad, but the way the actor delivered it, kind of like the line where a few episodes ago where Dax says, "Oh, I learned how to do rope tricks from some Hopi," but she's like,
Yeah.
"I was doing rope tricks with a Hopi." We're like, "Whoa, dude!
Whoa, what kind of rope tricks were you talking about there?"
So he says,
"Yeah,
didn't even touch it.
You didn't even touch it." The way, and I was like, "What is he talking about?" So
Surely was the drink. Absolutely.
Well, let's leave it with that. But
if it was
funny
Bashir, it wouldn't have been the drink, though.
Right, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been. No, I thought there were a bunch of little one-liners in there that actually made me laugh. One was when he did get slapped, and he was like, "This is the happiest day of my life."
Right.
Right. That was just like completely not what we were expecting. The other thing that I thought was funny was Odo comes up to Quark and says, "Yeah, I've heard a rumor today."
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah.
And Quark responds is like, "Only one? I've started at least 12."
Yeah, that should have been a trivioid right there, right? That should have been a Quark starts 12 rumors a day or something like that.
Right.
That's a good one. Yeah, good call.
I like that. It was just good dialogue, and it was plus they snuck in this cloaking device real early, so you think it has nothing to do with the story really, but then they tie it all back in. So that's a nice little writer's sneak in that you have to give them credit for. Planting in that.
You're right. This was definitely the episode that was most centered around the characters that are not part of the Federation of the Bajorans. You know what I mean? This was about Quark primarily and secondarily Garrick. It was and the Cardassians. Which is cool. So it's getting the extended family into it a little bit too.
Yeah, and then we actually get to see Quark outside of character, which is always a fun thing to do when you take people and take them outside of their character. So Quark, who we know to be this really shrewd, take no prisoners, no BS type of guy, is completely smitten with this girl and is willing to give up the bar. "I'll give it to my brother. I know he'll run it into the ground. I don't care." And he's just head over the heels. And it seemed genuine, at least. It felt like it was genuine. It felt like he genuinely loved her and was willing to risk anything and would throw away all his money for her. And I thought, wow, it must be somebody special for him to want to part with his Latinum, right?
Right. And we also saw something that this is like what the French call a nerdgasm, which is when, something awesome happens for us nerds. And I think it was the first time we got to see a conversation between Quark and Garrick when he goes and visits him in his tailor store or whatever, and tailor shop. What are those things called? Tailor shop. Yeah. And because we know some of the best conversations come between those two, especially like the root beer conversation is legendary. I think it's the best scene ever in Star Trek, but that's way later. So this was the first time we see them talking, I believe. And it was still really cool. Like when he says, you're very perceptive. Quark says, "You're very perceptive for a Cardassian." Come on. Cardassians are the most perceptive there. That's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Garrick says, "It would have been hard to miss the way you were looking at her." And Quark says, "It would have been hard to miss the way you were looking
at it." Yeah.
I love these two guys.
Yeah. And the lines were like that were really good. It was like, I love the dialogue in this one. There was another thing where he's
all subtext. Yeah.
Yeah. Quark says, "I ask nothing in return. Nothing. Except you stay with me here forever."
Hey, well, okay, that's just one little thing. That's hardly worth mentioning.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny too. First of all, right away when this Tima character, when she shows up, she sticks it to Kira right away. She's like, yeah. What does she say? Cardassians. She's like, the Cardassians didn't tell us that. She's like, Cardassians don't tell outsiders their business, especially Bajorans. Shut her down right off top. But
that's something that Deep Space Nine does well, is that nobody is safe, nobody is untouchable. Like at first episode, Sisko kind of tells Picard off, uh, Kira tells Sisko off. Sisko tells off Kira. Odo tells, like it's nobody's untouchable, and no matter how main a character is, somebody can come in and put them in their place,
And that's actually what makes it so good. It's the dynamic of Odo and Quark telling each other off. It's the dynamic of Garrick and Quark having this battle of wits and trying to one up each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always this really subtext of conflict between the characters, which I really like. Makes it a good drama.
Mm-hmm.
I thought one of the great moments in this episode as well was it took a while to play out. It was about a good 10 seconds worth of just screen eating time, but it was when Quark was kind of looking around that he puts his finger in the drink, he tastes the drink, he slaps a bug on the table, and then he goes on to say, the station security is a shapeshifter, so you can never be too careful, right? So
he doesn't know if he's tasting Odo right now.
Right. And it's funny because you can just see how Odo's gotten in. I can imagine him in his own, when he comes home at night and he's counting his money, he's kind of looking around to see if anything's out of place.
Right. Odo got in his head, man. He's like, I never know when this guy's around.
Exactly. And that was the first time we got to see a little of that. And it was comical. I love that he thought it was a fly on the table and he slapped at it like, I got him.
If Odo is basically a bucket of goo and can do whatever, isn't it theoretically possible that he could just split in half and become two things? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't he be able to be like a mug over here listening in and a puppy, in somebody's quarters listening in too? But they've never done that, so I guess not.
Yeah, you would think that would be the case, but maybe it's his entity is controlled by a central mind, and maybe that mind itself can't split.
Mm-hmm.
So
central sentience, yeah.
Yeah, so just a little. I like the back and forth with Quark and this woman. I thought it was really great. He was really trying to force her the whole time. Like, you love me. You do. Come on, I can watch it. I can see it in you. And then it was true. Came out to be true, which I thought, I was like, Quark, give it up. This lady's over
it. Okay. I can't be the only one. We're fast forwarding a little bit here, but when she shoots him with the phaser, okay, she says, I'm going to shoot you. I swear I'll do it. And she does it like with no remorse and total conviction. And then he wakes up and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. Yes, I love you. Yes. I was like, is this a dream sequence? Is Quark?
Yeah.
Because she had a complete turn when she said, oh, I did it by accident. It's like, no, she didn't. She aimed it and shot it.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, I love you. I'm like, is he going to wake up and be like suckling on Odo's fingers and like, yes. He's like, Quark.
That probably would have been better right there.
Like the line from Rick and Morty where he's just grabbing at Odo's chest and he's like, in about 5 minutes, I'm going to get mad about this or something. You keep this up another 5 minutes and I'm going to start getting mad.
I'm going to start getting mad about this. No, I thought it was... I wrote down here a Cardassian and a Ferengi sitting in a tree. Kiss. That was in my notes. It was kind of. I don't know. I kind of believed her when she said she didn't like him.
Right.
And that she was over him. I believed that more than I did. Like, oh, I secretly loved you, and I'm so sorry. I wasn't really buying that version as much.
Now, based on the performance and the writing, do you believe that in the first half of the episode she thought she was over him, and then once she shot him, she realized, holy shit, I do still have feelings for him? Or do you think that she knew it the whole time, but was just trying to hide it and trying to fight it, and then she just couldn't fight it anymore?
No, I think that she was genuinely. I think she blocked him out of her mind because she needed to get probably burn up past memories so that she can get the mission accomplished and be. It's just like when you're a soldier and you're out fighting, you gotta worry about that front line. You're not thinking about your mom and the kids and stuff.
Sure.
They might be flashing through your head, but you can't be dwelling on it and be dripping tears and crying because I've got something to do right here. And I think when you have something to do and like that's serious and you're committing that much of your time to it, that you kind of close up the past a little bit.
Mhm.
You have to turn it away a little bit, right?
Yeah, that makes
It's
sense.
it's like guys that are doing time right now. They can't think about too much about their loved ones as much as they would like to because it would soften them up for what they have in front of them.
Right? They got to focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Back to the lesson at hand.
Back to the lesson at hand. Perfection is perfected, so I'm gonna let them understand.
We all
What?
stopped and waited. We're like, oh, good, keep going.
Oh, I could, but I'm not gonna do it. What was the name of the book that O'Brien gave to Odo that Odo was reading in his office?
I
I think it was
don't,
called I the Jury, but I
yeah, I don't know. I didn't put in my notes. For
okay.
those of you that have seen the episode a dozen times, like we should have, let us know in the comments below. What's that book called? That would have been another fun little trivia. Like, boy, I'm slipping. Good one.
Yeah, Odo says, "Yeah, I'm reading a book," and I think Court calls it "I the Jury," and maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm gonna go with. And then Odo's like, "Yeah, O'Brien gave it to me." And it's like, "Oh, Brian's giving out books now. Huh? He's barely around, but he's giving out
I thought you were going to say he
books.
barely reads.
He barely reads."
Yeah, and in a previous episode, we had Dax giving, or who was it? Someone was it Dax giving a gift, or was it O'Brien giving the gift to Dax? And he was saying, "Oh, it's from Julian or whatever." It's like everybody's giving gifts, but we never actually. They're like passing it
Yeah,
from somebody else or something. I don't know.
yeah, because we don't really see O'Brien and Odo too
Hmm.
much together, so it was kind of weird. I was like, "Oh, really? O'Brien and Odo hanging out, sharing books to read." Um, but there were other lines that I like. Quark says at one point he says, "Don't allow my greed to keep you from doing the right thing."
Hmm.
That was one of his lines to Odo, which I thought was great. And he goes on to say, "You've got the emotions of a stone. You wouldn't understand." And then he says, "No offense."
I mean, hey, no offense though, right?
Yeah. Uh,
Another
so
line I really liked, and then Garrick is always oozing with sarcasm and subtext and allegory when he talks, but sometimes he just goes right into it. Like when he sees this Gull Toran guy, and he says, "Oh, they made you a gull. I hadn't realized the situation on Cardassia had
it
gotten so
was,
desperate." Like, wow, they must have
yeah,
felt real bad to make you a boss. So
yeah,
that was a fun
yeah.
opening for him.
He has a lot of digs like that. I really like the way he. It seems like he holds his own more than anybody. He's like the guy not to mess with because Quark can't get to him. Sisko can't get to him. Nobody can really get to him. He is a real big mystery on the show. He looks like his allegiance is to Cardassia, and then he kills his buddy. You
Yeah, and
know,
so we find out that he's trying to get back into favor with
right?
Cardassia. So we're finding out now that he's
In exile,
definitely
essentially, right?
exiled. He's definitely not there, because he wants to be. He's there because Cardassia doesn't want him. And
Yeah,
so he's trying to do this thing to fall back into favor. He's like, "Hey, if I hook them up, they're gonna let me back in, and I can leave all these root beers, drinking losers behind me." But
yeah.
then Gul Turan says, "You really are an idiot. Basically, you believe that this simple thing is going to let you back in." And Garrick realizes, "Oh man, they're just playing me."
No, that's when he says to him, "Go back to your sewing kit, Taylor."
Yes, yeah.
And that's when I think that's when Gary was like, "All right, that's enough. Did you just call up my sewing kit?"
I'm taking my
Man,
sewing kit back to Cardassia, man.
you never talk about a Cardassian sewing kit in front of others. Um, so he drew the line right there. That was it for him. And then it reminded me of the scene where he tells him to go get his shine box. Go get your shine box. I think that was Goodfellas with Joe Pesci.
Oh, see, I've never seen Goodfellas. Sorry to say.
Oh yeah, the mob movie. He's like, "Hey, you used to be. Don't you use the shine shoes?" why don't you go get your shine box?
You're right. Same thing. Like, why don't you go get your little toys?
Yeah. It's like, you disrespecting me, man? So, no, I thought the funniest thing was one of my favorite. I mean, there were a lot of favorite lines. I can say, for example, one of them was when he says, I'll tell you everything. I'll give up all the dirt. I'll tell you everything that's going on at the station with my brother, Rob.
Yeah, yeah, about my brother. Like, oh, what a deal. I can't pass that up.
Yeah. I will roll over on my brother for this girl.
You're right. That is like one of the ultimate Ferengi lines of like really trying to negotiate and saying, I'm throwing everything in, but really they're just throwing somebody else under the bus. That's a Ferengi in a nutshell right there.
That was it. I love that line, and it had me laughing out loud. The other thing that had me laughing out loud was when Quark at the end says, yeah, I will send all the Ferengi on the station to buy a suit from you, Garrick. And Garrick's response was, that alone makes it all worthwhile. And I thought the sarcasm was just perfect timing.
Do you think that the writers have the most fun writing for Quark and Garrick?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I can hear them saying their lines to each other in the writing in the writers' room,
and be like, oh, where they'd be like, they're like, oh, that is such a Garrick line, or oh, that is so Quark, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I can hear them having fun with these characters and just saying things back and forth, and that's how the dialogue literally just comes out of their mouths, you know, as they're going back and forth. But Quark, for example, says, "You mean I have to wait for a free and democratic society?"
Yes. Yeah. What's the exact quote he says? He says, "Oh, so all I have to do is wait until Cardassia becomes a free and democratic society." Oh, what a deal!
That's it.
Tuesday.
That's it. That's all you get
a reservation at my favorite coffee shop.
Yeah, he's like, that's all I have to do, huh? So there was just like these kind of moments that I thought were, and then you can also see on the face that obviously the Bajoran provisional government has a lot of say so over what's going on at Deep Space Nine. So much so that that Sisko hates it.
Right. Well, because that's why they're there. They're there to assist and kind of oversee, in a way, you know, the Bajoran provisional government rebuilding their planet. They're not there to take it over. They're not there to tell them what to do. They're there to assist. And so that's his biggest difficulty, is trying to walk this fine line of assisting these people, but also kind of guiding them, and also kind of trying to be their moral compass when the Bajoran ideals don't necessarily sync up with the Federation ideals, or when the Federation ideals don't necessarily sync up with his personal human ideals, you know? And in this case, the Bajorans were like, hey, we're trying to get back half of our prisoners in exchange for these guys. Of course we'll do it. That's a great deal. But, you know, Sisko's like, yeah, but we're turning over these innocent people, you know, and Garrick is like, yeah, also these guys are doing what's best for Cardassia. Hopefully we find out that Garrick is actually rooting for them, that, you know, to do the right thing and to, you know, rebuild Cardassia and free it from the rule of the military. And obviously Quark, you know, is rooting for them because he wants to slather honey on the team's face again.
I thought that was really the honey on the painting your face with honey. That's what he said. Something to that degree.
What does that even mean?
Well, let's not go too deep into it. I think surface level is enough to leave the mind wondering. But no, I actually overall really did enjoy this episode. You know, like I said, it was fun to see Quark kind of out of character and show more, I guess, human emotions. You know, but it shows that he has a heart. It shows that he has the ability to love. You know, so that's one thing.
Yeah, certainly not Ferengi characteristics. to throw away all of your money and possessions for love. That's basically like the complete opposite of any kind of Ferengi rule.
Absolutely. But it just shows you that he is susceptible to the love, and that, that that he has a soft spot, and that he's capable of feeling that deeply for somebody. I think it just adds more layers to an already complex character in Quark, right?
A wise man once said, and this wise man's name is Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, who we had on as a guest. He was the fellow with the peritoneal dialysis, just like Aron had. He's a comedian. He also was in a playwriting class with me, and he wrote a play that I acted in back in the day. And it was about an alien landing or it was about a writer that was trying to write, sci-fi, and he kept trying to come up with what makes all these aliens different. This one has green eyes, and this one has 15 arms, and this one, all this stuff. And then a real alien visits him and said, in order to help him with his writing, says, rather than focusing on what makes the aliens different and unique, you should focus on what makes them similar to us, what makes them people too, basically. And so shout out to Michael for that great theme. But that's what they do also in Star Trek, which is they create these characters that are so different, like Quark and like Garrick, to show that little glimmer of what unites us, that he was willing to throw it all away for love. That's the real theme, is what these completely different races have that we can identify with.
Absolutely. And I think Quark is really complex in that way. He has elements that we relate to. For example, we all have a desire to make money, and he expresses that to the maximum.
Yes,
right?
He does. But to throw people under the bus, throw our brothers under the bus.
Yeah, or to be honest, sometimes brutally,
right?
It may be sometimes, but sometimes we like that route. We want to be extremely truthful about things. So I think there's elements about him that are really complex. He finds himself being the good bad guy, right? He's kind of like, he's in the black market buying cloaking devices. So technically, he's engaged in illegal activity,
right.
but we don't look at him as an overt criminal with kind of these really bad intentions, right? We look at him.
What are you up to, Quark?
Yeah, he's playing the line. He's getting as close to the line as he can get to, without completely compromising himself and doing something that's irreversible, like taking somebody's life or something. But when it comes to profit, he's always playing this game of, the gray area. What do you mean? I didn't know. Nobody told me that you couldn't have this. I didn't know. Who knew?
Speaking of profit, the title was Profit and Loss. And we get that. The loss was actually, I think it has to do with both Quark and Garrick, because Quark has to deal with the loss of losing his loved one a second time, and Garrick has to deal with losing his loved one, which is Cardassia, a second time. First he gets exiled, then he thinks he's got a way to get back in, and it turns out no.
Yeah.
Although Quark found out that his love actually loved him back, whereas Garrick kind of found out that his love still doesn't love him, still doesn't want him back. Cardassian.
Yeah, and there was a moment where the guy says to "What did you really think you were getting back to Cardassia off of this one simple act?"
Mm-hmm.
And Garrick kind of was like, "Yeah, I know." And he did think that he was going to get back.
Yeah,
he did think that one act was going to be enough to kind of earn his respect back and get readmitted. But
that's the tragedy of it all. Both those characters are tragic characters, Quark and Garrick.
Yeah. And they do the profit. The one thing is when Quark comes into his shop and says, "I'll pay you 20. It's worth 17. I'll give you 20." And he says, "How unusually generous."
Wow, I think I heard a Garrick impression there.
It just comes when it has to.
Yeah.
But I really like Andrew Robinson. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor, and dealing him and Armin together, just great in the scenes. Odo and together, they're all just they're really great at these characters. They have a full understanding of them. We're just, as the audience, soaking it all up. I really enjoyed that opportunity.
Right. So we've got just about a minute or so left. Any final thoughts on this episode? I liked it. I thought it was a really good one. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. It's once again kind of hitting the home run for me, because DS9 is cranking out these episodes that are interesting and have a kind of a story all in itself, while it's also telling an overarching story. So I get the episode in a box with just by watching this. It's kind of, okay, this is one story all to itself, but also get it in the chain of the longer of seeing the way these characters are developing and interacting and having this camaraderie.
Right. Hey, real quick, by the way, was there any Keiko and Ops moment? The moment where you're kind of like, when Keiko just shows up in Ops for the only time ever, just for the plot? Like, was there a moment where we're just kind of like, what the hell just happened? What was that for?
Yeah,
the WTF moment.
That's interesting. Was there? I don't know. Do you have one in mind that you were thinking about?
I don't, and I kind of want to see if people could give us one in the comments below, because usually there's generally something that happens where you're kind of like, what the fuck? Like, where did that come from? It's just like a weird thing that just kind of pops up. And this time, I don't think I saw one, so we're gonna have to ask the people in the comments if there's a WTF moment in that episode. Oh well. Maybe the painting with honey. I guess that was definitely our Keiko and Ops.
That was there. That was close. It was close. And she was rubbing his ear, and he was rubbing her neck. Yeah. And I was like, all right, get a room.
And a butterfly lands on her. I guess that was probably it. Or when he wakes up and suddenly she's just like smitten again. I thought that was a dream sequence. But anyway, we got to run and jump.
We also got another shout out to the baseball that popped up in this episode.
Oh, yeah. That's
keeping track of baseball counts. That's all.
We should count the baseball, because it gets a lot more later on. Let's just say it's like 4 right now.
Somewhere around 3 or 4, yeah.
So quick thanks to our associate producers, Imo Radka, Rex Wood, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, Kat R. King, Yvette Blackman, and Anne-Marie Seagull. Thank you all very much. Stay tuned for the free-for-all, and we are going to come right back. Keep your ears open. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the free-for-all. We are joined with Commander Homer Frizzell, Heather Jordan, Anne-Marie Seagull, Imo Radka, Kat R. King, of course, Cirroc Lofton, myself, I'm Ryan T. Husk. And first things first, the elephant in the room is that Imo, all the way out in northern Germany, is cosplaying Mr. Cirroc Lofton.
Yes.
Why? What do you mean?
Check this out, guys.
Oh my God. It's actually a pods play. I love it. It's a perfect.
It's the best cosplay ever.
It's
I was just hoping you had the same angle, because sometimes in the videos you're sitting at the other side.
I know.
Or sometimes it's right on his head. It's like
I'm already.
I didn't have the time to prepare a second one, so I thought.
Cirroc needs to move his just slightly so we can get just a little bit.
So we can have the full fan, right?
Right.
It's like it looks like a portion of the light. Wait. Yeah, right there.
Emo has
really close. Right there.
So those of you that are listening,
one half, I've got the other.
If you're listening in and you can't see the video right now, Imo got a video of Cirroc's background with his hand, and is using that as green screen, and so now he's got like literally 100% identical background as
it's hilarious.
Cirroc with the fan in the corner. And it is freaking glorious.
It's glorious.
It's pretty. It's glorious.
Imo, just send me the file.
The video? I will. Just drop me an email.
We're all going to use it.
Everybody send me your email addresses,
files.
and I'll send you a link to the file. Yeah.
Oh God.
That's immo at
7thRule.com. Yeah, it's not working yet, but we could set that up.
Oh wow.
I'll get right on that.
That's classic, Immo.
Oh, that's right. And speaking of which, Rex A. Wood might be joining us a little late. He's traveling somewhere. I forgot where he is. Ohio or
Nebraska to Ohio.
Nebraska. Something.
He's probably still incarcerated.
Where am I?
Lowe's.
So Immo has inspired today's question. Today's question is, what is the coolest cosplay you've ever seen? Heather Jordan, go ahead.
Oh, fun.
Fun.
I told you guys, I need these advanced.
Go to her last and let's see what she says after she thinks about it.
These questions need to be sent to me in advance so that I have time.
Exactly.
No, I'm saying
to be
I
sent
need
to my people.
Well, Heather, you need to prepare. Look at me. I mean,
obviously,
Yeah, come on, Heather.
I'm supposed to just.
We
use
all have
my
our answers
telepathy.
written down. All of our answers are written down.
You know,
Wait,
every
illustration.
Thursday you're going to be asked first. You know this. Heather. Come on, like,
Hold on.
no
Let's let
more
her go last.
excuses.
I need a second. Jeez.
But if you
Okay.
last, you have to have the best one.
Okay, then we'll go with Kat. Kat, what's the best cosplay you've ever
How about we start with Ryan?
Oh,
Yes.
Anne-Marie,
Yes.
take charge.
really
Yes,
good choice. Yeah.
Anne-Marie, I just
Well,
love the way you think.
Take charge, Anne-Marie.
I've seen
charge.
so many really, really,
owe you
really
one.
good
Way
ones.
to buy your time. Just tell us your best one.
Thank you,
Okay, best
Anne-Marie.
one. I can narrow it down to a few. Sorry, there's one where there's 7 people that were playing the 7 main characters of
Robin Hood.
of the Enterprise D next generation in Cupid, where they're all Robin Hood. They were like all the merry men, you know. So there was Worf and there was Geordi with the man.
I'm not a married man, right?
All that, yeah. There was
Amazing.
Holly Deck. There was Laura Cirroc Vidana. There was Patrick. A bunch of our guys over at Star Trek Las Vegas. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
Laura always has the best cosplays. She was also a Borg cube one time. She was just a giant Borg cube.
There was a whale.
She's also Spot. She dresses as a big orange
Yes.
Cat?
That may have been my favorite. I mean, but there's just so many. So I just named 3. Now you go, Kat.
Was she the one that she did Gracie the Whale with Spock mind melding last year at the convention? Who was that?
Possibly, I don't remember.
That was brilliant. That was my favorite. So like the 10 years or whatever, or 17 years, whatever I've been going. That was like my favorite thing. I just laughed so hard. That was my favorite. I love that. I love it's the Horta, the one that's got the Horta that goes around the convention.
The lady
every year
that goes around with the radio-controlled Horta
yes,
around with her, right?
that one's really cool. There's just so many. How do you even pick? The one last year was really good. There were really good ones. The one from the comics was good with all the girls, Adrienne and all them, and Karine.
Every year.
Yeah, and they were really great. Lana, they did a great job with putting that one together. With Larry showed up and posed with them and did the whole tableau. That was so cool.
There's also Brooke and Mindy that do Deep Space Nine in the Wormhole, which is so good.
Yeah,
that was my favorite one.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
You really need to come to Las Vegas.
Is that your
But this year is going to and favorite.
That's my answer. It's
going to be Beverly
dress.
and Marina.
That's the wormhole dress, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where she lifts up her dress and shows us the wormhole.
All right, Cirroc. Everybody just relax.
No, I'm just asking. That's my favorite.
Whoa,
cosplay.
pump your brakes.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was lost in translation, but obviously it wasn't.
I think you're right.
No, but you're right. That's one of the best ones ever. It's just amazing and brilliant.
It's amazing.
What about you, Homer? What do you think?
So at STLV last year, I saw this one where it is the whale and it's Spock talking to the whale. And I like that one a lot. I was like, oh, wow. And so little Spock that's attached to this person that has the whale outfit. But I also like the one that I know the most about and how there was a lot of work that went into it was created by a friend of mine. And I think I can put it up. Let's see.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So
He's got power.
with Doug.
That's
Yes, God.
That's Dylan, and this is based on an Andorian that she created herself. So there's a backstory and all of that, and I think it took her like 2 hours to do the makeup, and that's after she actually got good at it. So it took longer before then. So I will go with those two.
Awesome.
Well, who is that in the cosplay?
That is Dylan Reed.
Dylan Reed. Well, shout out to Dylan Reed.
Yeah.
Anne Marie, you got a couple words to say about Dylan?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Dylan. My favorite human and Andorian.
Hey.
And her backstory.
I had a feeling.
Her backstory is that her dad is Shran. So at the convention, she'll go to every Jeffrey Combs panel, and then she'll ask last summer she asked a question,
Daddy,
and then he walked up and was like, "What do you think about all these pink skins here?" It was really
nice.
cute. He's the best.
Cute. Immo, what do you think? What's the best cosplay you've ever seen?
I haven't seen that much. That's why I said I need to get to STLV, obviously, because the only convention I went to was DST in Dortmund, where Cirroc was as well, and there weren't that many cosplays. Actually,
they got to step it up.
I think you should just choose the one you have going on now.
Yeah,
I will, but
he's up the ante.
Yeah, you have to send me a fan then, and I will attach that to my head or something.
In Germany.
I know. See, you just gotta make a fan and wear it above your head and walk around the convention.
That would be brilliant, but you have to send me one because you won't get that model in Germany. We don't need fans.
You're gonna want to make it out of foam or something anyway.
I could, yeah.
So it could just helicopter.
So next time Cirroc is here in Germany, I will definitely think about that.
I will bring you a fan, Emo.
Yeah, he's gonna cosplay as Cirroc's biggest fan.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
That'll be great at customs when I'm in Germany. What's that in your bag? It's a fan. You guys don't carry it here. It's for Emo. Don't worry.
just pay the import tax and you'll be fine.
Just pay the man.
Just pay the tax.
So you gotta pull that celebrity thing. Be like, look, I can't manage without my ceiling fan.
I gotta record an episode of The Seventh Rule while I'm here.
Yes.
I've got to install
I have
this
a certificate from the ADA certifying this
I need an all-white room.
Service
fan.
And a light switch? No, is it a light switch or what is it in the background?
Yeah, with some sort of converter.
Oh, yeah, that's
emotional support fan. Okay, emotional support fan.
You're right. There's even the little light switch in the corner.
Is it a light switch? Yeah.
Oh,
no, that's a thermostat. That's a thermostat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get one of those.
So you need to bring that as well then.
Yeah,
I won't find that model here.
And Marie, find a detail to that part.
Did we get your favorite cosplay yet, Anne Marie?
Oh my God, there's so many. But I think the top one is the two people who are walking around the convention from the episode of TNG The Game. And they have those light up headpieces on where Wesley, everybody's addicted to this game. And then they were handing out flyers that were like, have you heard of the game? It was amazing. My favorite TNG addiction. Yeah.
Well, Heather, we bought you as much time as we could.
That's all. That's all you got.
It's hard because a lot of the cosplay that we have here is not specifically Star Trek, and a lot of the things I don't know too well. I've seen some great costumes, but I couldn't tell you what they were because they were maybe from anime or some things that I just don't watch.
Right.
But there is one particular troupe here that goes to the local cons, and I know this might be blasphemy, but they're Star Wars. But they're a group, and it makes it great because they have very authentic. They plan out. They have a working R2D2. They have they have Darth Vader. They have a stormtrooper. And then they even have some what are they called? The little bear creatures.
The Ewoks.
The
little koalas.
Little bears. Those little bears.
You've seen Felix in Vegas, right?
Huh? What?
No creative spin on it. Just people from Star Wars.
Well, don't feel bad about the Star Wars thing, Heather. Heather, don't feel bad about Star Wars. We all know how much there's so much love between the two franchises.
I know.
Not only that, but remember
because
that Felix comes to Vegas all the time. He used to come all the time. Felix, he was an Ewok in Star Wars.
Oh, Homer got the whale. That's
there's the whale.
Oh, there's the whale.
Oh, nice. Yep. Hang on. Hold it there.
Oh, let's see the whale.
She's so adorable. She's so adorable. Look at her.
Was that Reen? I think that was
She
Reen.
left George in her
Reen,
gut.
is that it? Is that
I
it?
think so.
I don't know.
That was last year, right?
Yeah, last year.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah, she
believe
got
so.
a lot of attention. It was brilliant. It was
You know, another good one was the people that showed up as Lego Star Trek characters.
Oh, that's cute.
I
Yeah.
didn't see that.
That's
just
a
like
good
they're
one.
just full on, they're like giant Lego characters that
Yes.
are cosplaying as Star Trek characters.
Oh,
And
wow.
along the same lines, there was Migo Spock last year.
Oh yeah, Marty.
Yeah.
He's really good at it.
And it goes right back to the
also-
shield.
Somebody came like a Steven Universe. Someone came like in a Steven Universe cosplay, but he was also like sort of crossed with TOS somehow. I think it was kind of cool. I'll see if I can pull up a photo and post it in the group later on.
Also, the Lucille Ball was amazing.
Oh
Like
yeah,
dressed up
That
as
was
Lucy
great.
from I Love Lucy.
you have
I
to
love
give
that one.
Jerry.
Yeah,
Jerry
I didn't see
Powell,
that.
You have to shout out to Jerry. His Bat Trek, his Iron Trek, all of his great suits that he does. His Borg suits are terrific too. So huge shout out to Jerry Powell.
Yeah. Great guy. Super production value on it. I don't know how he does it. He like builds these giant Borg suits and Iron Man.
He's brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
You're brilliant, Jerry. If you're listening, yeah, I love you.
He's probably
I
not,
bet he
but
is.
he knows.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he will.
So I have a question specifically for Immo as he sips a giant iced tea or beer.
Apple juice, of course.
Oh.
Well, it's almost midnight here, so you know.
Yeah, so you're allowed. So
It looks like
being
daylight.
that you live in Germany and the rest of us are all in the States, do you find that there's a certain series or character within Star Trek that Germans' opinion of it differs from American ones? Like, do they like Enterprise more than we do, or do they like Neelix in any way?
Ooh.
You know,
Is there?
Back up off Neelix.
That's a great question.
Let's not go there,
That
but
question was going in one direction.
that's
and
not-
yeah, it was.
It went in a
It's
different
probably
direction.
the same all over the world. You know,
Okay.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Is there
Doesn't differ here.
is there any character from Star Trek they like identify with most, or like they really love? Like,
No, there isn't.
oh, good.
yeah, there are no
There isn't.
characters in Star Trek, right?
We're all the same after
I
all.
know.
No, there isn't a German character. We have Russian characters and Picard, of course, and that's pretty much it. And the Asian guys, but
Yeah.
no German.
I want to
No
see
Germans.
the
Or
small group of
European.
people who are like
Except-
Barclay fans and they like cosplay as Barclay all the time and all.
Well, yeah,
That's
Jason
what I wanna
Isaacs, but
see.
he's not playing a Brit in the show.
Or Laris.
Okay, so here's the question for everyone.
Oh yeah, Brady. Yeah, or
Is who's the character that seems the most German out of all of the Star Trek?
Oh no.
We're going to start
Whoa.
with
Whoa,
Heather.
stereotypes. Whoa.
Yeah, let's go, guys.
Oh God!
Tread carefully,
I
brother.
need
Yeah,
it
go
to
ahead.
notice. My
Morn,
ancestry is a little
Born.
German.
Quark.
I say
I'm German.
Garrick.
I'm German.
Garrick, nice one.
Garrick. He's
Garrick.
clever. He's clever. He's coy. Doesn't tell you everything.
That's who we are. Yeah.
Like those sneaky Germans.
There's, but smart though.
Back to the Cold War. Yeah.
Homer's got an answer for sure.
Sure.
I do. I think it's 7 of 9. I think it's
Right.
very
Yeah,
much
well,
about
Anna
having
is.
a schedule, and there's
They
a
love
certain
order.
sort of
Mhm.
way about her that reminds me of a German sort of, whether it's hierarchical, because that's certainly there, or whether it's the way of expressing herself and communicating. Same word, I guess. You can tell I'm not very German.
No, that's a
Get a
great
Her
one.
real name is Anna.
And
Her
you
real
know
good
who
one,
made that
yeah.
background?
Yeah, it's Anna. What's the Anna?
No,
Annika
she played it.
Hansen. Annika
She's
Hansen.
British, I think.
Hansen,
Monica
yeah.
Hansen.
Oh, that didn't help me too much then.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Well, no,
but
that's
she's good
close.
at computers, and Emo clearly is because his background.
Yeah, she
Yes.
could have a background like that too.
Annika's a German name, no?
Annika has a German name, yeah.
But her like grandma
Hansen,
or
well, is
whatever
probably
is Bluebell.
Swedish or
It's
something, but could be German as well.
I'd
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
she's
She's
from the
Scandinavian,
south.
probably.
Could be
She's
as
from the
well.
south, so not close to
Hansen,
you.
the
Yeah.
S-E-N spelling
I've
of it.
got an answer for a German character, Martok, because my
He
experience,
looks German, yeah.
my experience with Germans is that they're ready to party. Like they're fun. I mean, look at Martok. He's supposed to be this tough guy that hates everything and kills everything, but really he just wants to have fun. He shakes Worf around. He likes to party and drink beers and have fun and merriment. That's been my experience with Germans, is they know how to let loose. I mean, the stereotypes of 50 years ago isn't that, but the last 20 years, all the Germans I met, they like to let loose. They like to put their hair down, have some beers, and laugh a lot. Immo's looking like you haven't met a lot of Germans. Or am I right?
Oh, I was actually thinking, where's my hair? But yeah.
He's like, wow, I'm so boring. You pick me to be so...
No, but sums it up pretty well, but probably not for every German, but yeah.
Sure, of course.
I kind of think Trip from Enterprise.
Really?
He's, I don't know. He's got the look and I don't know, just.
Yeah, it's not a bad choice. Yeah.
I wish I could remember Trip from Enterprise.
I actually like
Yvette
him.
Blackman has joined us.
Hey, Yvette, what's up?
Hi, Yvette.
Hey, Yvette, can you hear us?
Yeah, now I can.
Where are you calling in from?
My home.
But what city?
I'm in New York.
Yeah.
I'm in New York.
New York?
New York.
Yeah, New York.
I know.
We got
gotta
4 New
rep
Yorkers.
the New York.
Welcome back.
We have 3 New Yorkers.
I'm in New York State, Anne.
Anne Marie.
Upstate. But yeah.
Oh, sorry, Anne Marie. Now I gotta say it again, Anne Marie.
Yeah.
This is the NYC.
Oh my God, we had like the best time ever on Saturday night at the Lambda
What's up, girl?
party.
Oh, what was that? Tell us about it.
Oh, yes.
Oh my
details.
gosh, there was like the debut of Heather Wood as Major Kira, which was like an amazing musical number.
And what was this party again? So
the Lambda Quadrant party. Every Saturday for Picard viewing. For your Picard viewing pleasure.
And what is the Lambda Quadrant?
Pleasure.
It is a all-inclusive LGBTQ plus party, and they raise a lot of money for charity. And so far in like the past 4 weeks, they've raised over $1,700. And last week, they also were at the Doctor Who convention in LA with Chase Masterson.
Awesome.
Nog's mother-in-law.
And how much fun do you have there?
No one out.
Oh, we have the best time ever. It's so fun.
Yeah.
When is Cirroc going to be invited?
He's invited, standing invitation.
All right.
You come to New York whenever you want.
Yeah. I'll be out there soon.
Cool.
I don't know for what, but
Yvette, you're at this party too?
Yes, I was.
How was
I'm there most of the time when I can.
Nice.
Good party. We have fun. A lot of drinking.
I actually
sounds like STLB.
had a lot of fun in Germany. Have you guys been?
Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. Nice place.
Darlena and I was just talking about either going to London or Germany.
Yeah, just Germany.
But I used to live in Germany, so
you
long
did?
time, long time ago.
Where?
Augsburg.
Immo?
Wow.
Yeah, of course I know Augsburg, but far away, far in German terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I found about Germany when I was there, number one, it was super green, and I was like, wow, it's just lush.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's just like there's plants everywhere. It's like it's just really green. Really blessed with a lot of vegetation. And the other part that I noticed is that when at the convention there, the fans in Germany are amongst the most enthusiastic about the franchise. So I think some of the biggest conventions. Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised, and I remember drinking with the German fans at the bar at the hotel.
See, like Klingons.
Yeah.
I chose the wrong hotel. Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and we were just drinking very much from a glass like the one you're holding.
I have that same glass.
I chose the small one today.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the one from Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Got the big boot?
This one is from Munich as well, yeah.
And so I've spent a lot of time drinking with the Germans at FedCon and various conventions out there. So I think they're really good party animals. I enjoy their spirit.
Mm-hmm. I got to get back out there. Yeah. I was just out there last year for the Berlin Marathon. Berlin's different than Augsburg, though. Totally
I've never
different.
been there, never will.
I don't blame you. I won't go again.
I haven't been there.
Yvette, we've only got a couple minutes left, but we were asking everybody what was the coolest cosplay they've ever seen at a Star Trek convention. Do you have one in mind, or a couple that stick out?
I saw. I did see one. Now I can't remember what it was. No, I can't remember. We saw it at Comic-Con in New York City, but for some reason I see it, but I can't.
Or maybe it was
right
maybe it was the Major Kira one you saw over the weekend.
No, I see something a lot better than that. It was good, but definitely see something better. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, no,
well,
I can't think of it right now. How are you feeling, Ryan? I don't know if anybody asked.
Yeah, how you doing?
Every day is getting a little bit better. For those of you listening in, I got kind of hit by a drunk driver a few weeks ago, so I got like 5 broken ribs and all kinds of back injuries. He says. All kinds of back injuries and stuff like that. But get better every day. And I've got a lot of medications and stuff, so all is well. Thanks for asking.
No worries. I've been there.
But his dad jokes are intact. That's the most.
They remain.
The most important
I think
thing.
I even took him up a level too, to be honest.
That's not the direction that they went.
Yeah. Pain medication is not known for preventing you.
Yes, about that medication. All those medications, plural, that they gave you. Which one's your fave?
So I think we've done a lot of good today. I think we all became better.
Great avoiding.
Past that one.
We found many German Star Trek characters. Yeah.
Right past that.
You can run for president with that kind of dodging.
It's not too hard.
Hey, shout out to Michael Chiklis. Thanks for bringing him to the table.
Wow.
Yeah.
We didn't get to mention his name this episode.
Wow.
He's not getting enough mentions.
Yes.
I know. Aaron would be really disappointed in our lack of Michael.
Yeah, he would be thoroughly pleased, Homer.
Michael Chiklis is losing money, right?
Yeah, but Michael Chiklis is winning in the non-appearance mentions on our.
Right.
He's leading the category.
Yes, amazing.
Got like 40 of them.
Homer, you got a Be Kind shirt on? Is that the Be Kind?
I do, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
And where'd you
get
it
sparkly? Is it sparkly?
This one is not sparkly. The sparkly one I have. I'm just not wearing it right now. I only wear one shirt at a time.
Where'd you get that one from?
So this one I got at New York Comic Con. It's Chase Masterson's nonprofit, which is Pop Culture Hero Coalition. And on Twitter, I think they're Superhero IRL.
Awesome. In real life. Superhero in real life.
Yep.
Wow.
That's really cool. Anne-Marie was telling us about that one too a bit.
Yeah, it's great.
Because we
I didn't know that was
Chase's Pop Hero Culture Coalition for a while, for a couple weeks.
Pretty awesome. So, cool. Thanks everybody for joining us. Shout out to Chase Masterson for always doing so many great things for the community and creating cool stuff, and to Homer for supporting that. Thanks very much to Homer Frizzell, Heather Jordan, Anne-Marie Siegel, Imo Radke.
Wow.
I don't know
that sounded Russian again. I can't do that well. So
Kat R. King, and of course Yvette Blackman for joining us. Great to see you, Yvette. I know you don't join us too often, but we love seeing you.
Sorry about that.
And for Cirroc, Lofton, Russ Haslett, I'm Ryan T. Husk. Always remember the 7th.